Are there really people that give birth to baby didn't know whole time that they were pregnant? One of my colleagues' wife was couple of weeks on holiday, almost no belly. No one have suspected that she is pregnant, not even her apparently. Sounds very strange these people exist. I have a very large friend who started getting fit. She cut out alcohol, went to the gym, was losing weight, periods stopped. Went to the doctor, was told it was normal to stop your periods when losing a lot of weight. Kept getting fit. Found out she was pregnant when doing a pinch test for fat, and the instructor told her to go back to the doctors. A person of her size shouldn't be so firm. She gave birth 2 weeks after accidentally finding out she was pregnant. At least she was super healthy during the pregnancy. I know of someone who had no idea she was pregnant until she gave birth. She had a condition which meant it was normal for her to go long stretches without having a period. Also, the doctors told her she wouldn't be able to have children. I guess she didn't really show much either. So she didn't have much reason to suspect she was pregnant. Sadly, she gave birth unexpectedly at home. And there were complications and the baby didn't make it. It was very traumatic for her. And apparently she was non-verbal for months afterwards. I hope she's doing better now. My mom had no idea she was pregnant with my sister. She was a teenager and was pretty tiny. She didn't gain any weight and she said she still had her period. In her high school gym class she started getting contractions. Her father took her to the hospital and they told her she was just having a miscarriage and to go home. A few hours later the pain was worse, so they went back. She was in a hospital bed and kept yelling to the nurse that something was happening. The nurse came in to check and out came a healthy baby. I have children of my own, but I can believe it. Cryptic pregnancies don't present any symptoms and women usually carry so differently that sometimes the baby grows upward and inward instead of out. I worked with a woman who didn't show at all and had no symptoms. I was kind of jealous as I was puking every 30 minutes for months. My mother was 6 months pregnant with me when she learned she was pregnant, and she only found out because she got pneumonia and passed out, and the doctors told my dad that they would have to abort the baby to save her. My friend's daughter had irregular periods. She'd gained just a little weight, had horrible pains, took her to and came home with a baby. It does happen. Okay, so I thought that was bullshit. But somebody I know at work had this happen with her daughter. Her daughter was maybe 15 pounds overweight. So not like so fat that you wouldn't know. She was on birth control the entire time as well. Mom got the call while she was at work that was like, "Hey mom, I'm at the hospital and apparently I'm in labor." The baby is now 1 and the entire family thinks of him as a surprise blessing. When she told me this story, my mouth just hung open like, what? 4 of my friends that have had babies went through the entire pregnancy without popping. If you didn't know, you'd think they'd just put on a little bit of weight. I work at a hospital. Just a couple of weeks ago we had a girl aged 24 come into the trauma room with severe pain. Bleeding. She was pregnant, had no idea. The baby was delivered, went to the NICU. Mom survived. Received a blood transfusion, got to see her unexpected child shortly after. The most scared I've ever saw a person. Yes. It's called cryptic pregnancy. One of our patients didn't know until she came to AE with stomach pain, labor because of lack of prenatal care. The baby was admitted to NICU for observation. The mother had a lot of trouble bonding with the baby and refused to hold her for a week. It happened to my aunt. She went to AE expecting to come out minus an appendix, but actually came out plus a baby. She didn't show at all. Her periods continued through the whole 9 months. And her placenta was at the front, so she didn't feel any movement. I work with children and have met several people this has happened to. People that would have no reason to lie or hide a pregnancy. There's an entire show about it. People might have irregular periods. And also if they suspected they might be pregnant and had a negative test. There's a very real possibility they saw a very faint second line. Thought it didn't count. And then never tested again. When I was a new tech, I scanned a lady through the who had a positive pregnancy test but really low HCG, so we were expecting a 4-week pregnancy. She was a pretty big gal, so didn't think too much about doing the transvaginal scan, but once the transducer was in place, I saw a fully formed brain. Called in a more experienced tech to assist and she took over. I stepped out to put a transport request in, and a couple minutes later my coworker came out and whispered she's in labor. Patient came in for back pain and left the next day from LD with a new baby. Girl I went to school with, she's 44, just found out she's pregnant at 22 weeks. She just thought that she had menopause. Nope. I saw my aunt's sister 3 days before she gave birth to a baby she didn't know she was having. She didn't appear to be pregnant. She was in her late 40s. Wanted kids, but never could have them. The baby was healthy and full term. But the hospital treated her like crap. But she thought she was going through menopause. Being pregnant was not something that ever seemed possible. Yep, it happens. There's a show. I didn't know I was pregnant. I really recommend the YouTube reaction videos by Mama Dr. Jones and OBGYN for additional insight. Next thing you know, there's a baby in my toilet. Abby Pollock on YT is a tiny little fitfluencer who found out she was pregnant at 32 weeks. She went in for bloating because she thought it was IBS related and came out finding out she had a whole-ass child in her stomach. My mom had a miscarriage and still felt pregnant. Everyone told her it was just mental, and that was normal after miscarriage. She accepted what she was told. Entered a diet program. Her weight didn't change and it felt horrible. She went into labor and got me. She was supposed to have 2. It's not like the stories where she didn't know at all. But everyone denying the possibility seems to be a factor that repeats. I once knew a woman who didn't know she was pregnant until she was in labor. She was a party girl and did a lot of drugs. She was in a lot of pain. And the people she was with called an ambulance for her. The EMTs asked her how far along in her pregnancy she was because they could tell she was in labor. She told them that she wasn't pregnant. She gave birth in the Researchers suggest it can happen to as many as 1 in 2,500 women. My cousin, she was on BC and using it to skip periods, so did not think she was pregnant. She'd had her first child the prior year and was slightly overweight but did not look even remotely pregnant like she did with her first. She gave birth to her daughter at home alone with her 11-month-old son. Thankfully everyone is healthy and happy, and she has her Irish twins now. Yeah, lots of women have conditions that make their periods unpredictable, and it's not uncommon to spot enough during pregnancy that it might seem like a light period. X200B. I have PCOS, and a lot of women with PCOS miss lots of periods and tend to gain weight easily, specifically in our stomachs. And we also tend to have problems with fertility. So it's pretty common for people in this situation to not even think that they are pregnant for a few months. Extend that by a couple more months. Maybe the baby comes early. And there you have it. Of course. And it's not that rare. Here are my country's numbers. It's about 1,500 of births. For comparison, Down syndrome's birth rate is 1,770.